Yes, Mike?
I have other concerns, but I'd like to thank the ambulance corps. I got to see them firsthand this Sunday at my building, and I was very impressed. We had an incident in the building, and was very impressed with the amount of young people that are involved with it, and I think there's something that we can be very proud of.
Thank
And
you.
I'd like to thank you guys for what you've done.
Oh, thank you.
And that should be sent to the emergency squad, because we're just,
Well, I'd like the
But that-
public to know what a wonderful
Right,
thing
well,
you
that-
have
yeah.
going on with the young
Yes.
people.
it is amazing, within the last month, they were called to the farm too, for my son. And it was amazing, and you're right, the young people that were there,
Yeah,
it was impressive.
yes.
Yes, it was. Thank you, Mike. Okay, anybody else?
I went over that tentative law, road use law,
Mm-hmm.
and I made what I believe are some improvements. I have a copy here for you. I have a photocopy of it myself. I'd be willing to discuss this with any board member who wants to.
Okay.
It's kind of long-winded, so I won't try to read through it now. Okay?
Yeah, it's a little bit. Okay, well, thank you very much, Bill. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, Mike, you again.
I did call Jim Daly.
Yep.
I don't know if you got the same response. Basically, they have to find an
Right.
interested party to supply the cell tower.
Yeah, I know, I haven't talked to Jeff. When I called him, I had found out, I met with the Watershed Ag Council, about the Treadwell School. And they said they have got about 40 phones that are Verizon phones. So, and that's what I told Jeff, so, and he hasn't got back to me, because he was gonna meet with Verizon to see if there's any interest, 'cause,
I do have, I think, another avenue. I might pursue that.
okay.
According to you, I have to do this on my own.
It'd be awful tough, Mike, to tie the town into it. It'd be, I think, a real messy situation, but I appreciate the offer, but, if you can get us, tower up there, the community would appreciate it, I'm
There
sure.
seems to be an avenue I found out,
Oh,
a different one than Jeff,
mm-hmm,
so I'm gonna do it on my own.
yeah,
And my offer will stand about the scouting program.
thank you.
Since I understand that most of the ambulance corps, young people
Oh,
are trained through the Boy Scouts and then through the fire department or the scouts that advance to a later degree.
okay,
And that's why I had asked Ken if they had contributed anything to that, so
right,
I would be interested in doing that.
okay,
If it comes down to that, there is some interest
okay,
on the property, okay?
okay, well, thank you.
All right. What else was there? I think that's it.
Last month, there was a question in the minutes about miles of road used in Franklin. It's roughly 8 miles of road in Franklin. Is what it was. It's a meeting that we had with the engineer, and I talked to him this morning, and I said the one concern we had was what they want is the trucks to come in and go out the same way they came in, so they're not using more miles of road. And I asked them, our concern was, what if they don't use the roads that are designated for their use? And he said that's something that Constitution would, or Williams would take care of. If there was any issues, Williams would fix the road, and then they would go after the contractor for the money. The town would not be involved in a you know, he said, she said. But that's not in writing, but they're willing, we had a very good meeting with the engineer. They have, we said we wanted 2 million in bonds, for road bonds. And they really didn't want to, but that's what, you know, Mark figures $250,000 per mile of road. And there's about 8 miles that, we didn't add it up exactly, it may be just under 8, it may be just over 8, but it rounds, there was like 6 roads they're gonna use. And, but most of it is they're just coming out of adjoining towns. Like on Otegel Road, they're talking 0.3 of a mile,
0.39.
0.39, you know, they're just coming from Otegel's line to the site. And then they would stand behind the borings or cuttings of the roads for 2 years after the signing off. When everybody's happy with what's done, they will stand behind the cuttings and the borings for 2 years after that. So, I mean, it was a very good, worthwhile discussion, I thought. And he hadn't talked with Mark, and Mark's off on vacation, so. But that's what we found out on that, and he did get back to me. We were talking the other meetings, you know, that 650 million cubic feet of natural gas, how many trucks would it take? How many gallons is that? How many this? Today, he also found that out for me. 1 million cubic feet of natural gas equals, in fluid, 12,000 gallons. So you're talking roughly 100 trucks to move the product from Pennsylvania to Schoharie, is what it, you know, if they're talking 8,000 gallons per truck. I mean, I don't know what, you know, but that's what he told me. I said, God, that's not a lot of gallons for a million cubic feet of gas. But that's being liquefied
You said
and under
fluid.
pressure.
Is that meaning that it would be liquefied natural gas?
Yes,
Ah,
yes.
so
That's
how
the
they
only
make
way
the
they can,
comparison.
they can ship it, I would guess. But I got those numbers from him today too. But if there's any other questions, concerns? Yes,
Jeff, when you were talking about the 8 miles of road.
yes,
Is that in the town of Franklin? That's just town of Franklin roads?
yes,
Okay, so
yes.
that's not including state or county?
no.
And
No.
will those routes be, public? Will they be?
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
And
If
now,
I
where
couldn't find
can
my
they-
copy, you can have copies of, I've got maps that we got from them. Let me call them tomorrow to see if I can hand these out. But it just shows where the pipeline's going and the direction of the traffic coming in and going back out. It's very simple. I mean, as I said, this is something that Dave and I both got copies of it, Mark did too. So, you know, but that was our concern, you know, if they didn't use, if the trucks went out, the contractors went out a different way, who's responsible for that? And that's where Constitution, now the engineer told me that Constitution would be responsible, but the contract would be paying for any road damage. But that's not in print, or, you know, but that's one concern I had, and I'm sure that will be covered in any agreement that we might get. Yes,
And the hours of operation?
we didn't discuss that. Yes, we didn't. I'll put that down as a question for him.
So
Yeah.
if there's a limit, if they can run trucks 10 PM at night until 6 AM in the morning? Or do they have certain restrictions for construction
I don't know. Hours of operation, that's what you're looking for,
of how
basically?
those trucks can use the roads?
That's the trucks would be for operate, so just if I ask them hours of operation, would that be, or hours of construction?
Construction, road usage, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Jeff, you're talking with Delta. You more or less have agreed to hire Delta. Is Delta
Yes.
involved in this?
I've signed the contract, and they haven't, and Dawn sent him the contract.
Mhm.
There was an issue of the contract missing, but Mark had it on his desk, it just happened to be under some other papers. But Dawn did, we got the contract sent to him, and they haven't informed us where, I'm expecting him to get in touch with Mark.
And then for the training and stuff.
Right, for the training and all that. They supposedly last week, I think they trained Davenport and Meredith, I think it was, it was 2 weeks ago. They had a training session with them.
Okay, so you weren't able to pull them all together in one, but
You know, maybe they.
They still agreed on
it was
price.
probably- Yeah, yeah, the price is the same, it may, they're not gonna save us any more money by doubling up now. But, and I think the contract, they didn't have the signed contract, that might have been, geez, we don't have a contract, we don't wanna teach you anything. So, I mean, you know, and I'm figured this is more in Mark's hands. Well, then Jamie's now, Mark's not here, so, there, give him. But, you know, yes, the contract has been signed, it has been sent, and I don't think we paid him yet, but, we have, but as I said, with the Constitution, you know, they've agreed to the $2 million road bond, and I'm pushing for, I told them today, we need 60,000, not 45,000, for a engineering lawyer fund. That's what I think we intend, is to put that money in a special fund just for lawyers and engineering fees.
yes, well, Mark had indicated he'd like to get some of that work done before we get into winter weather, so
Well-
that gives us October, and, yeah.
You know, hoping, okay, Don?
Yeah.
Okay, Tim?
The 60,000 or whatever you get, is that refundable to them afterwards if we don't use it for?
No, it's
Just
ours
wanna
to
make-
do what we want. We can use it for lawyers or engineering, we could buy a truck with it.
Okay, that's all.
It's money for us-
Because
us-
sometimes they're set
right.
up to go back.
Well, that's what
If you don't use it.
Right, I understand that it is money for us to use where we see fit. And I see fit to have it in
Yeah,
a fund,
yep,
you know, that
And
if
when
we
they're
don't
all
use it,
gone-
they might find another home, but if it's there for the longevity of this possibly happening. Yeah, but that's what I understand from it, is that's for us to, our discretion on how we use it. Okay, anybody else?
Can I take it from this that we're progressing toward an agreement?
It's much better than it was. And I even talked to the lawyer, and she says, we'll keep lawyers out of it.
Yeah,
Says, sounds like the engineer and road superintendent should be the ones signing the agreement.
okay, but we will have a signed agreement.
That's what we're intending for.
Fine.
Yep. Okay, any other questions?
No.
Yes,
Is it too late to make a statement? I spoke.
no, go ahead.
Okay, I really was a question. Well, I do have a statement, and I'm gonna repeat a little bit what I've said in the past, is that I think Franklin has a lot more to lose than we have to gain by natural gas coming through New York State, town of Franklin and Delaware County. But I do have a follow-up question from a previous board meeting. I personally asked in March, oh, by the way, Don Hebert, I didn't tell the lady my name. March, August, September, I did ask the town board about a resolution of unconditionally opposing a compressor station. In April, the board did pass a conditional resolution opposing a compressor station based on getting more information on medical. And studies have been handed in, you've gathered information, you've had time to search, you know, independently for more information on medical history for compressor stations. Has the board passed any resolution yet unconditionally opposing, not just conditionally opposing, a compressor station?
Not that I know of, no.
Well, then I would like to ask another question, and another condition, respectfully ask the board to adopt a different resolution. At this time, I'm asking the board to adopt an unconditional resolution opposing natural gas transport infrastructure in the town of Franklin. This includes pipelines, compressors, above-ground valves, radio towers, buildings, anything that involved with a pipeline that's buried in the ground. The fact that FERC can override local provisions did not necessarily create any excuse for inaction. I firmly believe that if the Northeast Energy Direct pipeline needs a compressor midstream, Constitution will need one if it's ever built. And I think we'll find that that could happen just like it did in Hungry Hill and Minnesink, that a compressor station on Constitution could come in later after the pipeline is built. They have done this. So a resolution of unconditional opposition would put gas companies on alert that there is public resistance to natural gas transportation through Franklin. And basically, it would tell them that we aren't necessarily welcoming them here and would like to do something about it. I would like to present a similar scenario where the town of Franklin was very proactive and did act decisively addressing a large-scale industrial development. It was a development at the time that had not been actively proposed for Franklin, and up to now it still hasn't been. And I'd like you to compare this to the 2 pipelines and a compressor station that we have been proposed for the town of Franklin. Local law number 1 in 2007 was entitled Wind Energy Facilities. It was adopted by the board in 2007, soon after the comprehensive plan was written. Some current board members were actually on that. The purpose of the local law was stated as to regulate the placement of wind energy conversion systems so that public health, safety, and welfare would not be jeopardized. Some of the findings that were supporting this law are still relevant for today's proposed large-scale natural gas transport infrastructure. Number 1, wind energy facilities present potential aesthetic impacts. A 100-foot swath through our segmenting forests with 2 pipelines is also aesthetically significant. Wind energy facilities can create drainage problems through erosion, lack of sediment control, can harm farmlands through improper construction methods. Well, a wind tower site seems to me a lot less of a drainage and an erosion problem than a 100-foot wide swath across the whole township, up and down all the steep slopes. Number 3, wind energy facilities may present a threat to bird and bat populations. Well, cutting thousands of trees with 2 pipelines also can have a negative impact on birds and bats. Wind energy facilities may present risk to the property values of adjoining landowners. I read that to mean that property values probably would go down. There are documented examples of reassessed land values in Hancock where property values did go down, and the assessments were grieved and then actually reduced 25 and 50% for properties near the Hungry Hill compressor. So I think that is a valid concern. Wind energy facilities may be a significant source of noise, which can negatively impact adjoining properties. It has been documented that compressor stations do generate noise. Reducing it to 55 decibels at the property boundary does not remove that noise, and it does not address the continuous low-frequency vibrations. Number 6, construction of wind energy facilities can create traffic problems and damage roads. So can the construction of natural gas infrastructure, and you guys have definitely taken advantage of trying to abate that. So to summarize, in my opinion, large-scale industrial development inherent in the natural gas transportation infrastructure that is crossing New York State and the town of Franklin needs to be addressed. This threat is more imminent, more damaging to the environment and our health, and more disruptive to our way of life than wind energy towers are. So I respectfully repeat, I'd like you to pass a resolution unconditionally opposing natural gas transport infrastructure construction within the town of Franklin. Let the greedy gas companies know that the residents of here are concerned about our community. I thank you for the privilege of the floor.
The difference is, isn't the wind law allowing it? It's not
The
saying
wind
that it
law
stops
allows wind towers with the appropriate restrictions.
it. Right, that's what
I
I mean.
remember it.
And this is adamantly against any gas infrastructure.
For the same reasons that you were going to restrict them. So thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Tim?
Yeah, I got a question. It's the town of Franklin. I think the town of Franklin is pretty much divided on this, who's for it and who's against it. A lot of people that are for it just haven't speaking, but they are speaking for it. And I don't think the board can make a decision for the whole town, not knowing what the whole town really wants, not just a segment of the town.
Okay, thank you. Yes,
I'd like to follow up on that, then, why haven't you ever said anything? We've been asking you reasons why you do want the compressor station. We don't know why.
I'm not
We
sure,
wish somebody would give us an answer.
I'm not sure if anybody on this board has said, I want a compressor
No,
station.
I'm not saying you, there are quite a few members in the audience here who have signs on their property that say that they do want a compressor station. I would like to ask, what are their reasons? We don't know why.
Okay,
Can you
well-
throw it back after them, please, so we can get an answer?
Well, I think it's their freedom of choice to say, if you would like to give your reasons for wanting a compressor, I guess you can voice it. Tim?
Yes, and I did some more research besides just the local little papers and stuff on it. And the decimals that they're claiming and these other places, right down to the Texas. I got one of my best friends lives a mile from one. Out there, he's a doctor. They don't even know it's there. They just paid $2 million for the 100-acre farm next door to it. There's so many things when they say that it is causing these problems, that if you check all over, there's just as many people saying, no, it's not causing these problems. You know, so how can you say which way it is? Now, I called people there. I called the guy right in the Amish country. I used to sell machinery to them down there. They don't even have a problem. We don't even know it's here. And, you know, all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, something's not right here. And I'm for it to go through. The precautions are federally regulated, what they gotta have. The tax revenue that's gonna come here to people that is 2, 3, 4 generations have fought to keep the land, now might have a little reprieve. It might not climb anymore, probably will never go down, but it's not gonna climb where we can't afford to keep it. You know, our kids, I got kids that live right here. Son built a new house, son built one over here. I got grandkids that just graduated talking about it already, and whether he wants to be in Franklin. You know, we're here, we're gonna stay here. All this stuff that's being said about that pipeline and the gas, you know, that's buried so deep, they got the x-ray machines on every bit of it that blow up. Yeah, the one that shows in the paper that was blown up is illegal in the United States. Where's the one in the United States that's blown up? I didn't find it. So we got a lot more restrictions here than other countries do. Our propane for our farms for torches, I'd be sent all the way to Canada to be loaded to be trucked back to here. And that trucking of that stuff's much more dangerous than having a place here that would do it. So, you know, yes, I'm for it. The pipeline, once it's in, they get the 100-foot strip done. It's another green area.
Right.
Or another actually it's gonna be another vegetation area for our wildlife, because the young trees is the biggest thing for our deer and all our small stuff. They all live on the young trees. Well, this 100-foot strip is gonna be just all young trees, and it's gonna be some of probably the best hunting there is around in that area because of it.
Okay.
So there's a lot of both ways.
Okay, Tim, thank you.
Can
Yes.
I just want to thank him for
Okay.
because I
Yes, Pete.
never know.
Yep, thank you.
First of all, there's no trees gonna grow near any pipeline on a 100-feet strip. They're gonna spray it with chemicals to make sure it doesn't grow.
I think you're wrong there.
No, they don't.
They don't, they cut it all down.
It's a 100-foot construction right of way and a 50-foot permanent right of way. So the trees will grow back in, not over top of the pipeline, but on 50 feet of it, it will. So 25 on each side, with one pipeline.
They're not gonna be able to come in and spray 25 feet without killing the other, or 50 feet without killing the sides, so.
Yes, Pete?
I've been to Minisink, and I've been to Hancock, and there's no trees growing on that strip. And I've been there, I have photographs, people taking photographs of me there. in Hancock.
There's no